Hey, this is Avante,
I'm Eli, and this is hosted by Posh.
an intimate series where we talk with the most influential people in the event space and hear about the movements they've built. I was just looking at your Instagram. You said this is your first weekend back, like all year in the city?
Your first weekend off,
Worst weekend off.
but it's maybe my third or fourth time in New York
Okay.
because typically in between travels, whenever I'm doing something between Asia, Europe, and the US, I typically make a stop in New York
In New York.
just to get my laundry,
Right.
to get recharged, get some proper homemade, meal, and then afterwards from there, I go back on the road.
Is a weekend off really a weekend off there, or is it just more time to make music?
It's never a time off, Like for example, this weekend, it was all logistics, preparing for the next tours. Dealing with my record label or event planning department, our upcoming yacht series, the upcoming shows that we're going to be doing overseas, and really plotting everything. So time off is something that's very rare. I would say I probably get more time off when I'm on the road because, I could take like a day or two when I'm like in some cool location like Tulum or Bali or whatever. But whenever I'm in New York, it's typically working with my team, with my label managers and whatnot.
So when do you get time to make like all these crazy tracks that you're putting out?
Yeah, it's on the road, man.
Really?
I've learned to work from headphones, and it takes was challenging at first, but if you put your mind at it, you really have to try and focus.
Have you ever made a track on like Airpods or some shit?
Yeah, you could make an idea on AirPods.
Really?
The good thing about it, a lot of the records that are coming out right now, a lot of them were produced during COVID.
Oh wow.
So it's just been fine-tuning the production, fine-tuning the details, making them better, and kind of making them match, my current sound. Like the next record that I have coming out is going to be on Tomorrowland
Wow.
Music. It's with Kaiser. I wrote the instrumental in 2020.
Wow. And when did she get it?
She recorded the vocals in 2021.
Oh wow.
Like January or February 2021. It was my first time in LA
Wow.
during COVID, right?
Right.
And back then I was making stuff that was a little bit more on the commercial side. So obviously now that I'm doing stuff that's more underground, more Afro, I kind of repurposed the song. Use the chords, use the vocals, kept the main idea, but kind of redid the drums.
You think you saw all this coming during COVID? Like that you'd
Yeah.
make it to this point?
100%. I mean, during COVID, even prior to COVID, I kind of had a vision for my music and for my profile, just based on how the industry was going. Right before COVID, I launched an underground alias called Amplifier because I knew there was like a need for me to kind of separate from my previous more commercial kind of record. I really wanted to find a way to break into the underground, right? And throughout COVID, I produced a lot of records that were like different from the Francis pre-2020.
Right. Are you still gonna go with the Amplifier project?
For now, we're gonna keep everything focused on Francis Mercier, just the main artist project, just to keep, all the energy condensed, so things are not scattered, right? I've released quite a few records on Amplifier, but we put a pause on that for now. Maybe when my project becomes a bit more successful, and we'll look into creating an alias. But the good thing is, I've been able to find a way to solidify and find a space in between the underground and commercially accessible. A record like City, for example, it has like a very Afro kind of underground vocal, yet it has like the accessible kind of tech house feel to it.
And that was with like Blondish. How did something like that come about?
It's a long story. I mean, I produced a record same during COVID.
Right.
Long time ago. and I showed the idea to Blondish. She liked it. She added her touch, and we composed the record. But it took some time. It took about like 2 years to make.
Wow.
Blondish is very busy on tour.
Right.
So getting the edits done took a bit of time, but finally when she was able to wrap it up, we were able to find a good label partner and we were able to clear the record.
That's awesome.
You've gone through an interesting transition. Before COVID, you're focused more on the label and you have the whole label team. And then during COVID, you were more on the production side. Now you're into touring. Kind of take us through like who's in your inner circle, who are the key players that have gotten you through all those transitions, who runs Deep Root now, like who's behind all this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a key team player is Cameron.
Okay.
Cameron Williams, he started off as an intern,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
He started off as an intern in the record label, and over time he built himself to really pushing me and my artist project to finish my records.
Mm-hmm.
That was his whole thing. He was always calling me, yo, what's happening with this record? And I was like, man, this guy is interesting. And yeah, he really pushed me to really give a bit more energy and attention to my artist project. And that's been a fruitful addition.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was able to finish quite some records, and he then took it on the road, shopped a bunch of labels, took the time to really do a lot of outreach. Then I worked really closely with another team member her name is Tay Allen. She has done an amazing job really solidifying my brand and kind of like building me as a touring artist,
Right.
and getting me in front of promoters and the right bookers in Europe and whatnot.
Right.
So she was able to really push my project on the live side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so you just came off like a Coachella play, and like I think a lot of the artists there's a funny like graphic that's shown a lot about like Wasserman, CAA, and it shows like the Coachella lineup, but who like the agency is of each artist, and they're all like the big like 2 or 3 agencies. I guess my question to you would be like, what are the pros and cons of going with agent? Like, why haven't you signed to one of these big ones? You've been massively successful without a bad big agent.
Coming off the tangent of the team that has been surrounding me and that has helped me kind of grow, I also have a very good business partner that we founded a record label with. His name is Ajamu Kemban. Throughout the years, we've had a vision that we could build something unique. And it worked, man. And yeah, here we are today. Obviously, we've worked with bigger agencies such as UTA, but prior to that, we've been able to build my profile to a level of relevance on our own.
Oh, so you are working with UTA now?
Yeah, we did sign with UTA, both in Europe and in the US, North America.
Awesome. And so they've been pretty helpful.
It's been some time, yeah. So actually, through UTA, we were able to, we actually secured quite a lot of bookings in North America.
What advice would you give to a younger artist that might not have that key business partner and wants to get themselves out there and start touring, whether it's domestically or internationally? What are some secrets?
I think, my path is unique, is one of a kind, based on, my desire and kind of passion for business, for entrepreneurship. That's something that's really key to me because, I did study mathematics. I did always have a sense of business. I've had multiple businesses over the years. So that's kind of unique. But, for up and coming artists, it's all about the records, man. It's all about not only just the records, but being unique, different. At the end of the day, I think my success, I give it to my uniqueness. The fact that I was able to bring something different to the table.
Right.
A lot of people, were making a lot of tech house back then, a lot of commercial future house. I always wanted to do something different.
Right.
And Afro house was something of interest, more on the melodic side. And when I pulled back and kind of created something unique, that's when I kind of had like positive responses.
For sure.
That's kind of when people are like, okay, this is something interesting.
Right.
So my advice to up and coming artists is try to be different. Embrace your uniqueness.
So let's dig into that path. So you started off in Haiti, right?
Yeah, I lived in Haiti for 18 years.
Wow.
I grew up there, went to French high school And
Was there exposure to Afro House at the time there, or not really?
Yeah, actually, growing up in Haiti, you know, it's like really a hub for culture, for music. You know, I went to French high school, an international French high school. So I had friends from Ethiopia, from Nigeria, from Cameroon, from Morocco, from France. Meanwhile, Haiti being with the proximity to the US, I was watching, you know, 106 in Park and like very exposed to the US culture. So I think, you know, growing up in the Caribbean has given me like a bird's eye view on global culture, and which has given me like a good understanding.
So you were always into house music though, even in
Yeah, I mean, I was into every kind of music.
Right.
You know, growing up, I used to listen to the big Haitian records, whether it be Creole or artists like King Posse and whatnot, and also the big European records.
Right.
So Magic System, which I sampled 20 years later,
Right.
I used to listen to them when I was in high school.
Wow, that's a full circle moment.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
A lot of artists, you know, that I'm working with today, their records, I used to listen to them when I was growing up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's really special. And I think, you know, growing up in Haiti has given me this kind of dense kind of interest in culture, which is playing to my advantage these days.
Were there any big hardships growing up that you kind of had to overcome?
Yeah, of course. You know, growing up in Haiti, it's like lack of resources, frequent no electricity, no power.
Wow.
You know, a lot of political turmoil, which, you know, caused for days of not attending school, not really being to have like a proper social life where, you know, you could go out with freedom. Like in the US, you could just, as a teenager, you can hop on the train and go to Central Park to meet your friends. There's no such thing back there in Haiti, you know, because it's politically unstable, there could be an incident. So it was a different upbringing, but with everything there are pros and there are cons, you know, but I can say overall the experience was very positive because it gave me like a time to reflect on myself. So growing up, I would always have time, you know, for myself. You know, that's something that I don't think kids or young people in like Western countries have nowadays. There's like so much happening. There's access to cell phones, media 24/7. Growing up in Haiti, you know, not having anything gives you time to be creative, to think, to appreciate.
Right.
Which I'm sure you can understand, you know, when they talk about kids from the 80s, from the 90s, how they would hear a record on the radio, rip it, put it in a cassette and play it like a million times, right? Today you have Spotify, man. You can listen to everything all at once. Everything is at your fingertips.
Crazy.
So scarcity and things being rare gives you more sense for appreciation and kind of analysis. So that's given me the capacity, you know, some of the records that I was listening to, I would listen to them deep in a deep way. Like I would really connect with them.
Right.
And I think that's the reason why I became a DJ, man.
Right, so you're connected to that music.
Yeah, very attached to the records. Like I discovered Bob Sinclair when I was in Haiti.
Oh, wow.
Like I had some friends from France and they were like, man, there's this guy called Bob Sinclair who's making this track called Love Generation. And I was like, what is this kind of music?
Right.
I was listening to the Postal Service. And, you know, I just had like a disc. I had like the Ultra disc with all the hits.
Right.
And, you know, I would take really the time to appreciate the compositions. And I think that's what gave me like an interest in music production and just music in general.
What was the spark for moving to the US?
That's every kid's dream.
Really?
From Haiti, man. You know, it's kind of difficult country with not much opportunity, unfortunately. So, you know, most people from Haiti, even, you know, from Africa, everybody wants to have the chance to move to like a big Western country to build something for themselves. So I came here first and foremost to go to university.
Wow.
And that's how you got started, or was there like a job that you got when you touched down?
No. I came here to go to school. Luckily, my parents were able to like provide me resources to be able to attend college, and I finished my studies. But since the minute I landed in the U.S., you know, I went to a couple festivals. I saw Tiesto, Armin van Buuren, and I was like, this is the music that I really love. And I saw them on stage, and I'm like, you know what? I want to try to become a DJ.
For sure. So right after college, you
Not even right after college. Literally the first year, freshman year.
Oh, you were DJing in college.
Yeah, I got like myself a little controller for fun initially.
What were you playing?
It became a thing, man.
What were you playing back then?
Big records like Calabria.
Right.
You know.
Never open format?
Yeah,
open format.
But open format came later.
Really?
Initially, it was, you know, house, it was trance, it was melodic.
Yeah.
You know, the Tiesto tracks, like I really love the In Search of Sunrise compilations.
That one.
Those were really what drove my interest to the electronic music.
Right.
And today, you know, they classify that as trance, but really that was like deep house, right? Yeah, the Tiesto albums over the years were really like something that drew my attention.
Yeah.
And I would play a lot of these tracks. I was into Swedish House Mafia. I was into all this kind of music, which was humongous in the early 2000s.
And so after college, you said you started some other businesses, or what did you do?
Yeah, so throughout college, I was performing, and I really wanted to kind of scale up my DJ career and passion to become like something. So I would want to play in like major cities like New York, and being it so difficult to kind of have access, I was like, maybe I need to throw my own parties.
Right.
So I started my own event planning company
Okay.
in college.
Oh, wow.
So
that was Deep Root or no?
No, it was
Okay.
a previous company.
Okay.
So I did that in college. I used to throw parties for you know, basically for a living.
Right.
And even in college, I was doing it, man. Like,
Wow.
we had, I had like the contract at a couple rooftops and clubs such as Cellar Bar, such as Sky Room back in the day. And we had the contract every Friday.
Wow. Wow.
And, you know, I used to curate DJs, hire promoters, do the whole event production. And that was like the way that I was able to build myself as a DJ.
Right. Through your own events.
Yeah, I have my own party, I can perform, you know, I can invite other good artists, perform with them. And kind of, yeah, I did that for some time. Then my business partner wanted to do more hip hop parties. And I was like, that's not really what I came here to do.
Yeah.
So that's when we kind of separated.
Right.
And I said, you know what? Let me launch my own imprint.
Oh, wow.
And do something focused on house music.
Right.
And Deep Root was founded.
Wow.
Walk us through that process. How do you get a label started? How do you get artists on board? All that stuff.
Yeah, the record label was initially a collective made for artists, by artists, to have fun, to do parties and to just enjoy shows, right? So that was the whole entire model. And obviously, as I built that, since I love, you know, being an entrepreneur and building businesses, to my business partner, listen, we should also potentially manage artists, we should potentially release records over time. But all of this seemed like a blurry dream, something that, you know, we would be hopeful to do, but we would not know where to start. And it just went step by step.
Really?
Trial and error.
So what was the first, like, did you sign your first track, or what was the first step to make it a reality?
Well, we had our first shows.
Right. Oh, so you started with events first?
Yeah, with events first. We had like some yacht parties.
Really?
Because I had access to some yachts, so this was like a thing.
And this was in New York?
Yeah, 2014.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you moved from college straight to New York.
Straight to New York, yeah.
Right. Why New York?
No, you were in college in New York,
No,
right?
I was in college in Providence.
Oh, Providence. Interesting. Okay.
I used to come to New York every weekend.
Oh, 'cause it's awesome.
It's like Providence, New York.
Yeah.
So I used to come to New York every weekend throughout my college. At some point I had to take a break because I had some almost issues with my schooling. So to really be able to finish college with good grades, I had to take a step back from my event planning company and from my constant traveling. But in college, I used to come to New York, so I had grown a love and passion for the city. Right. Not to mention, during the summers, growing up in Haiti, I came to New York 4 or 5 times throughout the years, throughout my early teens, just to visit family, to see, because I had family, like 4 cousins living in New York.
Oh, wow.
So I always had like a relationship with New York. After college, I had an offer to work in some bank, MNC bank, and I was like, I don't really want to do that. I have my event planning company, it's a struggle. It was a struggle for some time.
Right.
Yeah, and I can't believe it, man. It's been 10 years that I finished college, that I've been able to
just keep building this thing.
Launch my own label and have some success as an artist.
Right. Do you think that deep root helped you kind of build yourself as an artist?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, it gave me the capacity to experience through trial and error to gain knowledge. And there's no textbooks to this business, man. You cannot say, okay, I want to be a touring DJ, artist, label owner, I want to release records. You can't study this in college.
Of course.
Either you need a mentor or you need to go to the school of hard knocks. You need to do it on your own.
Right.
One thing that's really complicated that you definitely can't study is the talent buying process, which is integral to like the label side and the performance side. Can you walk us through how does the talent buying process work? And do you meet a bunch of agents and then they like kind of hit you up when they know you're going to be in the city for a show? How does all that stuff work?
Are you talking about like accepting shows and performing at venues?
When you first started getting booked a lot internationally, how do you maintain relationships with the talent buyers?
I'm a people's person, man. Typically when I walk into a room or if I'm booked by someone, I take the time to actually meet them.
Yeah.
I take the time to actually connect with them. At the end of the day, right, we're in this business to make people smile and to have a good time. Right. People, bookers, promoters, they take a chance, they book you. They could have booked 1,000 other people.
Right.
Like if they make the effort to bring you down there or to their show, you should also reciprocate, make an effort to meet them, find out who they are, connect with them. So, because I've been on the other side. I used to have basically my record label, we've produced so many shows, I've used to book talent, still do, and I know how it feels, when a promoter takes a risk, goes in, invests, raise funds to bring you to an event, no matter how big, small the fee, it's still an effort he's doing. And it's appreciated when the artist is grateful, takes the time to showcase the visibility for the promoter, for the venue, reaches out and cares.
For sure.
So being on the other side has given me like a clear understanding of, you can be in someone else's shoes. So whenever I perform wherever, doesn't matter where, I actually take the time to meet the owner, to meet the venue manager, the promoter, from the bathroom attendant to upper management. Everybody counts and you gotta be grateful for their existence and their contribution.
I think a big step that's like very hard for a lot of emerging artists to take is like going from like local DJ where it's like how many tickets can you sell to like talk to my agent, like, and obviously you're not gonna ask like how many tickets can you sell. What do you think is like the big thing that changes in an artist's like toolbox that brings them to that point?
Just to be clear with you, that conversation still exists.
Right. Okay.
How many tickets can you sell?
Interesting.
Maybe it won't be between
you and them,
the promoter and the artist, but it will be between the promoter and the agent.
Right.
That is something that is still being discussed. And that is something that, you have to be able to be comfortable to discuss and something you have to be comfortable to kind of like be aware of.
Right.
Because it is a business at the end of the day.
Interesting.
And if somebody's taking a chance providing you a budget, they got to see the returns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're walking into a 2,000 person ballroom and this is your first show ever, yet your previous one was like a 300 person show, I mean, you're basically setting up yourself for failure.
Right.
So you have to be realistic and you have to build yourself over time.
And so what impacts your ability to sell out a room in a city you've never been to?
The music is the driving force. Right. You know, if you have records that are able to travel, if you have like original compositions that work, and if you take the time to build yourself in that city of relevance, then it'll work. I don't recommend going to a big city where you've never performed. Right. And where, you know, your statistics don't show that you have like a high listening interest. Right. To go do some show.
But so so you just played in like Bali, right?
Yeah.
How did you get an audience there?
In Bali, you know, they love the Afro House. They're very forward thinking. Right. It's like they have like a lot of internationals that travel there, people from Australia, people from Europe. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense. Right. Right, because we have relevance in Europe, we have relevance in Australia, we have relevance in Asia. So the music makes sense, and you know, I'm lucky enough to say that within that style of music, we are a name of relevance. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And so now moving forward, like you just played Coachella, you just did a B2B with Diplo, you're gonna all these collabs going out. Like now, what's like the next step? What's the next goal for Francis in 2023?
The next goal for Francis in 2023, that's a good question, man. Yeah. I mean, right now, I just want to be able to push my sound forward to a bigger audience, to be able to get recognition from bigger players, to be able to enter and play better shows, to be able to associate myself with bigger brands. Right. You know, it's a step-by-step process. This is not an overnight kind of success story. So just want to put in the work and be able to open more doors, because we're just hitting the surface. From an outsider standpoint, it could be like, oh man, this guy already made it. Right. But we're very far from that, you know.
There's a long way.
There's a long way, a lot of doors, barriers that we have to open and break. And you know, we're just ready to work and kind of grow.
For sure. If there's one piece of advice that you could tell yourself when you first started this Francis Mercier project, what would it be?
The kid back in Haiti, like what would you tell
him? First of all, be patient, man.
Yeah.
Be patient, dream big, and be confident. But to be honest with you, I've always told myself that, you know, and that's the reason why I'm here. Because I could have worked in a bank, I could have done 1,000 other things, but I stayed with this vision for 15 years till I was able to break through and make a name for myself.
For sure. Well, you've done just that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for us. We want to appreciate you for coming out.
Thank you,
spending
man.
this time. I know you're a busy guy, and
yeah,
gotta go make some Grammy award-winning hits now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, guys.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Good?